Yo, what's up guys, it's ApTreX here. Finally today we'll be testing out the Kenji-Nx, a brand new open source Nintendo Switch emulator for Android on my super low-end Android device, which is the iQOO Z6 Lite. In our previous video we tried out the newest Eden emulator on this Android device, and as you know, most of the games did not work, they were just crashing. So I want to find out if the Kenji-Nx Nintendo Switch emulator is the same. I'll be showing you guys its full setup, best settings and gameplay. But before getting started, let's talk about this Android device. It has a Snapdragon 4 Gen 1 processor, which is super old, and an Adreno 619 GPU. Along with that, it has only 6 GB of RAM, out of which only 2 GB is actually available, similar to what 4 GB Android devices have. Regardless, let's start the setup of Kenji-Nx emulator. So first of all, in terms of user interface, we'll need to import all the necessary stuff that is required for this emulator to work, for example, the firmware and so on. Now note guys, for Kenji-Nx you need the same version of firmware as well as keys. Once that has been done, we'll go to the system settings where we set it to unbounded. Afterwards, DRAM size, let it be default, or you can even set it to 6 GB. Make sure to enable performance mode if you are using a Snapdragon processor Android device. In terms of CPU, keep everything as default. You can disable NCE if your game have problems. In terms of graphics, resolution scaling, we'll set it to 0.5x, and this is proper real resolution scaling. We'll keep everything else as default, and we'll be importing a custom graphics driver. For today's video, we'll be trying out the Mesa Turnip Adreno driver 25.2.0 revision 6. Once you have imported the graphics driver, make sure to select it from here. Afterwards, go back. You'll need to also select the folder where you store your Switch games. And now that all of that is out of the way, you guys will be able to see our Kenji-Nx, aka the Ryujinx emulator Android, has been successfully set up on a low-end device. Let's start by testing out our first game, which is going to be Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash. We tried this out previously inside the Eden emulator, but unfortunately it just crashed. I want to see if Kenji-Nx is compatible with low-end Android devices or not. So we'll be testing out Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash, Pokemon Sword, as well as Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now unfortunately guys, even after waiting for a long time, you will be able to see that I am getting a black screen. It's not working. This is very unfortunate. Okay guys, this is actually post editing, and you guys can see Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash will actually work inside the Kenji-Nx emulator, and that's because we have disabled the NCE option. Remember when I told you guys about the best settings? When I said native code execution, disabling this option may make few games work inside the simulator. Well, that's the exact point. Throughout the video which you are going to see, native code execution was enabled, but as soon as you disable NCE, you guys will be able to see our Jujutsu Curse Clash is about to start. So there we go, Bandai Namco. Let's just go ahead and press the A button and skip everything. You guys can see Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash. Here we go, it has successfully started. So if your games do not boot inside the Ryujinx Android, then you'll need to make sure to disable the native code execution option. And unfortunately this game has graphical issues where your characters will not be rendered, and by the way, as soon as we start the match, once again there will be graphical issues. You won't be able to see anything, you will just see a black screen. So I won't show you guys the entire gameplay of it, but it is true that this game actually boots. Let's try out our next game, which is going to be Pokemon Sword, and we'll see how well does it work. Now Pokemon Sword is actually a big game to be emulating on a small device with only 6 GB of RAM, and Kenji-Nx is obviously a experimental Nintendo Switch emulator, and on low-end Android devices it generally takes a bit more of waiting time compared to any other high-end device. And still, even after booting the Pokemon Sword, I am not able to see anything. Like, it is completely blank. There is no game boot up screen. We have emulated this game multiple times on this Android device, and we all know that it starts instantaneously. So this might actually mean that Kenji-Nx emulator is not that well supported on low-end Android devices. You guys can see that we are just getting a black screen. So I'll try to restart this emulator. Similarly, let's try Pokemon Sword 2, because in the video as you just saw, it did not work. It was just showing a black screen. And yeah guys, in case of Pokemon Sword, it doesn't boot. It's not like disabling native code execution will make every game work. There was a text pop-up, but unfortunately there are just no graphics, so we don't know if it is working or not. I'll try it out once again with the default graphics driver to see if that makes any difference. If not, then we'll move on towards our next game, which is going to be the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now currently this is actually shocking. I did not think that Kenji-Nx will perform this poorly, because when I tried it out on my Realme GT 7 Pro, it ran really well. Let me show you guys for a comparison. Here I'll just go ahead and launch Pokemon Sword, and you will see for yourself how fast it actually boots compared to the low-end Android device which I have towards my right side. So here you guys can see as soon as I opened it, the game started without any issues, which means unfortunately our low-end device has been nerfed and currently Kenji-Nx Emulator is not capable of emulating Pokemon Sword. This is actually unbelievable. I thought this is going to be a great testing video where we will be surprised by the performance of Kenji-Nx Emulator on low-end devices, but the only thing that is surprising me so far is the game's not booting up. So we'll be trying out one last game, which is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. No words, even when I tried it out on my Mali GPU Android device, the Kenji-Nx Emulator, you can watch that video on the iCard above by the way. The gameplay results were actually pretty impressive, and okay, I was laughing for no reason. It seems that our game has successfully started. So this is actually a bit unbelievable because I didn't think it would work. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword has successfully started. Now this is actually weird. If this game can work, then why not Pokemon Sword or other game, I wonder, and you will be able to see it has unfortunately frozen. So in my opinion, currently Kenji-Nx Emulator is a no-go for low-end Android devices. I think it will only work if you have a flagship Android device. And for comparison, I'll show you guys the Eden Emulator. We'll tap on Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword and you guys will see for yourself how fast it actually boots. We even have the FPS bar, so we know that the game is actually booting, and there we go. In just 4 to 5 seconds our game has successfully booted, even though this device is a low-end Android device. So yeah guys, that was the conclusion, shocking conclusion to be honest, of our today's video. Kenji-Nx does not work well on low-end devices. The only device which this emulator will work well on is the high-end Android devices, but the version which I am trying out is obviously the first ever Android port of this emulator, so we'll need to wait for future updates. That's going to be it for today's video though. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on all notification. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.